down for no reason. I'll be reading my word.
Hello, I'm Ezekiel Kagbo. I'm a born-again Christian. Join me every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Go Gospel. Go Gospel is a program that brings to you gospel artists to showcase the music and bless you with ministration as we spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Make it a date with me, Ezekiel Kagbo, on Go Gospel every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Star Television, Channel 21.
So watch me fly.
Hello and welcome to Star TV Channel 21, and this is Go Gospel with me, Ezekiel Kagbo. Go Gospel comes to you every Sunday 9 to 10, and Go Gospel is a program created to give gospel music and gospel musicians the platform to tell their stories and also share their experience. Today in our edition, we have one of the most talented and I can say a legend in gospel music who is going to share his experience in gospel music. Stay with us as we go along with the interview.
You're still the reason for my living. You're the one who works and needs to come. All creation bow before you. Lord, I praise you, make them quiet. You're the glory in my song. Lord, I worship, yes, I worship. You are the living God. Alpha and Omega. Alpha and Omega. Alpha and Omega. I worship you today. Hey, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Alpha and Omega.
Welcome back to Go Gospel. As I said before, we are one of the gospel music legend who is in Sierra Leone. He has become an inspiring somebody to most of the gospel musicians today in Sierra Leone, and he's here with us to tell us his experiences and to give some advice how the gospel industry should go. Welcome, Daddy. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, Zika.
What is your name, sir?
My name is Songe, Judge Buannie.
Buannie. For a long time, some of us have heard about this name, Judge Buannie, but we don't know who is Judge Buannie to us Sierra Leonean and what Judge Buannie has done. We want to know about your background. Who is Judge Buannie? We want you to tell us.
Thank you very much for having me on the program. I grew up from a very humble background. My late father was a pastor, and so I grew up from that Christian background. Praise the Lord, my mother is still alive, strong, going, and I am the first of 7 brothers and sisters, and my life, to say, in the music arena was very much shaped by the family I grew up in. My father also played on the flute, and so I got some inspiration absolutely from him, because growing up as a little boy, I could see him playing on the flute, and that inspired me. And sometimes as he plays on the flute, I can sing alongside. But that was short-lived when we transferred to the provinces from Freetown. That was in the 70s. But my musical gift and talent continued. As a little boy in the farm, I could sing on the whole day on the farm. In fact, neighbors in the farm would always know that Dabo, that was one.
So you named
prenatal name.
So you named this your gift and your skills from your father?
Absolutely, because my dad was also a very talented singer. He did not get on to produce a musical album, but I could remember growing up as little boys when Christmas period, I could see my dad could organize the choir, and he would join us going out to sing Christmas carol, and all of that was an inspiration to me. Him playing on the flute, joining us out to sing in the choir, helping to build the choir in the church, going out to sing carol. All those were, as a little lad growing up, they were motivations to me, absolutely. But as I said, I also owe it to God that God gave me that talent. And I love music. Going through school, I attended a boarding school, and 2 things would tell my body home master or senior colleagues that I am absent. Either I'm asleep or I'm sick. But with the absence of me not being asleep, with the exception of me not being asleep and not being out of the campus or being sick, bro, you will hear me singing and wailing all over the campus. So even with my colleagues from school days, there's one thing each and every one of them will identify me with. George loves singing. So it's been a part of me. That's a humble background to my musical orientation.
So since you started this, your gift that you think you innate from your father, and also God gave you the gift, what gives you the motion, or what inspires you to go to gospel and not secular?
That's a very good point. I could just attribute it to God. That really, God had really inspired me into gospel music right off from childhood. Also my Christian background. But that being said, there were other secular artists who were of great motivation to me. I love reggae music. Bob Marley was one of the guys who kind of like really pour my talent to the next level. I would love to sing on the pitch of Bob Marley, which is not an easy pitch to sing on. Musicians will tell you that, you know. Excuse me. And I love Joe Hills. I love Don Williams. But Bob Marley's music was one of a very strong inspiration for me. Because growing up as a lad, one of the things I found out in Bob Marley's music was, one, it was very rational. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. This was a social awareness music, raising awareness to the social norms of society. And so that motivated me entirely. And of course, that got me into a host of other activities around the guy. Of course, you admire somebody, you want to do the things he does, and that's it. But I love Bob's music, and looking at how he addressed social issues and how you can listen to his music, the music can appeal to you. And the music doesn't only appeal to you, the music prompts up action from you. You know, this music that inspires you and gravitates you into action. You are bound to be gravitated into action. You know that there are things around me that are not right and they need to be corrected. That's the kind of drive I have. And growing up basically and coming to Freetown, I wanted to do music. Besides every other thing, I wanted to do music. My dad wanted me to go into engineering. I went through technical institutes in Kenema and I did my OTD and had a very good result and won a scholarship to London West University. But the trouble was my dad getting the resources to pay my fare too. He had that money, and so I started working off in the mines, Sarah Rutan mines. But it got to a point where the whole mines, everybody, my supervisors and whatever, knew that this guy is into music. And each and every one of them around me could just advise the church, why don't you go into music? You know, why don't you go into music? If we're on the night shift, nobody will sleep. I'm being very honest, I'm not exaggerating. Nobody will go to sleep because I will sing right through the night. I will be drumming on anything I lay my hands on, you know. So that was just me. So when I got to Freetown and I met with a man, he's now late, Mr. Francis Issa. He was a police officer. We met at the God is Our Light Church. My late aunt attended that church and she took me to church. She was also gifted in singing and she and I did a rendition in the church, a special rendition. Unfortunately that Sunday, Mr. Issa was in church and so he heard me. And just after church, he approached my auntie and said, I love this guy. I expressed his desire and that was when he disclosed that he also has an intention to establish a gospel group. And so my aunt told me about it. And so I met with Mr. Issa and we talked about it and I gave him a word. I said, well, fine, I'm back in Ruta. When you're ready, give me a call, I will come down. And I went a month after. Indeed, Mr. Issa sent my transport. A policeman showed up at our house, you know, and delivered the letter to my father. I was not home then. When I got home in the evening, my dad gave me the letter and said, policeman dropped this letter for you. So I read through it and he was like, what is it? You know, and I said, well, when I went to town, I explained everything to him and said, okay, well, that is good. If this is what you want to do, son, you have my blessings. You know, and to me, that was the greatest gift my dad gave to me that day. And he drove me to Freetown and we came to Mississippi, and that was how the Frandy Gospel was born. Okay. You know, that's how Frandy Gospel.
Okay, coming to gospel, being a gospel musician, there are a lot of challenges you went through. Now you say you have become a gospel musician and you are with Frandy Gospel Band. What impact is this Frandy Gospel Band play to Sierra Leone? What was the impact?
Yeah, at the time when we started Frandy Gospel Band, I must give credit to groups like Agape Springs. This was one of the gospel groups that was on the ground then. There were also other artists. Ebenezer Venn was also one of the gospel artists then, solo. I must also give credit to John Boston Cisse. He was also a gospel artist. But when we started off with Friendly Gospel, my whole intention was how can we really take the Sierra Leone, bring gospel into our own culture and worship God in our own way. Well, Agape Springs was very good, but one of the things that Agape's drive was much more the Western style. Even when they could sing in Creole, they would still do it the Western way, which was good. I mean, they were very good at it. I must be very honest. They were very good at it, and they ministered to souls and whatever. So to me, coming from the gospel was, okay, these guys have carved an image for themselves. What image do we carve for ourselves that could be by which we are able to measure the impact of on the Sierra Leonean religious platform? And so we wanted to do it in the African way. Okay. And so we did the first album, Usa Yugude album. Yeah. With Alpha, yeah, Usa Yugude. We did that, and man, that was like the groundbreaking album, and that was our first album. It was like the groundbreaking album. One of the successes to that album was one, we had a very good engineer, Andrew Williams. Andrew was very good at instrumentation, but I was in charge of lyrics vetting. So in terms of doing the lyrics, when we started, it wasn't easy for all of them because I was very, very meticulous on that issue. What is it that we want to address? Who is our target audience? We cannot target everybody, yes, but everybody can be serviced, but we have target personalities or persons or issues that we want to address. So those kind of principles along what we call in composition of music was one of the things my artist or the group was not very convenient with at the start. But at the end of the day, when the Friendly Gospel album, the first album came out, the Usa You Go Day, Where Will You Be in English, when the album came out, it was a hit. Okay. So we really had an impact.
Talking about these lyrics, thing you're talking about. Some gospel musicians may tell you that gospel music is not that kind of like a poetry. So some of them will just sing. They will not have a target group. They will not know what they are doing. They do not reflect anything. There is no ethics. There is no theology in the songs.
Ezekiel, that's the missing link. That's one of the key missing links in gospel music today. One of the things I realized for a lot of what we are doing now is a recycling of songs. A recycling of songs. For example, I there's this young Nigerian guy who did Golden Wheel. Yeah. And eventually somebody else produced Golden Wheel in Sierra Leone. And when you look at it, it is almost the same. The rhythm, the sequence, the flow, it's almost the same, and almost on the same pitch, the same key. And you get what is going on? That's plagiarizing. Mm-hmm. It's a crime. We have lost the essence of being able to think. God said to Moses, "Go tell Pharaoh, let my people go." Yeah. But my principle in music, as I train up young musicians, let my people think. Yeah? Okay. So with me, that's my drive. Let my people think. Yes, if you want to be a good musician, you should be a good thinker. Okay. You should think, what are the issues you want to address? How do I handle this issue from a neutral perspective? Taking, for instance, the Election Term album. Okay. There were several election songs before 1996 election, when Buannie and the Friendly Gospel Band came to the platform. And thereafter, there have been several other election songs, voter education songs that have come thereafter. Okay. But I'll bet you with one thing. I'll say that with every humility. Yeah? Election Term album of 1996 is evergreen. You know why? Because this has let my people think. What are the issues? How generic are those issues? Are those issues just going to stop with me? Will they affect my children yet unborn? And if they will affect my children yet unborn, how do I really construct my lyrics in such a way that the impact is felt? I produced Cry Africa. Vic Fauna was one of the ladies in the
Gospel Band.
Yet not on Friday Gospel Band. Okay. She was in the church with me. She was one of my choristers. I was head of the choir. Okay. Right. I brought her later into Friday Gospel because I saw there was a talent in her, there was a gift in her. You know, Vic would tell you that it wasn't an easy experience between herself and me. You know, but later when she realized that I am unbendable in that area, okay, and she decided to conform alongside the pattern. Vic's first album, she had to redo what I did. I gave her the permission. She did what I did. And you realize that everybody was like, wow, this is it. You know, but at the end of the day, I told her, I'm not going to back down. If we want the second album, we're going to go through the same principle. She couldn't adhere to that end. She was not able to produce another that reached that pitch. That is just an example of what I'll call, if you don't have a disciplined mind in music. Okay. Right? Music is the arrangement of sounds pleasing to the ears. Yeah. So, and it takes an articulate mind to arrange things in order. How many of us as musicians do know what sequences in music? What's the difference between the note and a chord? Pitch, modulation. How many of you know that? So, voice sustaining in music.
So you want to tell me that is it by calling, is it by or a gift or a talent that someone should have to be a gospel musician?
You have a gift. The gift is from God. You develop that gift into a talent. Okay. The mastery of your gift is what makes it a talent.
So should I wake one day and say, I'm a gospel musician, or I have to go through some procedure to become a gospel musician?
Well, here's a point. You have singers, you have vocalists. Okay. Being a vocalist doesn't make you a musician. That's the difference again. You know, a lot of times it's been misconstrued. And so to me, one of the missing links in the challenges we face with gospel music today is, one, the artist discovers he has this gift. But how can what is needed to make this gift grow, mature the gift, make the gift productive, make that gift relevant? What it takes to make it happen is what they don't have. They don't have. And you cannot grow it all by yourself. One of the things I learned great from Andrew Williams, just imagine, the Friday Gospel Band, I was the head of the Friday Gospel Band. I negotiated the deal for the band. I got the money for the band. But I realized that there's somebody out there who knows much than me. Andrew is multi-talented in terms of instrumentation. I could have sat back there in pride to say, well, now, you know, I'm also the head of a band, and sink in my pride and ignorance, or I decided to humble myself and find somebody who knows much more than me and get closer to him and build up the group.
This is the problem we have in the church today. Most of these artists or most of these musicians don't want to, like I can say, don't want to be subjected to a pastor. There comes in, what do you think should be the understanding between the pastor and the musician in the church and also the gospel artist?
In the first place, if you are a gospel artist, and let me say this, that the gift of singing is being imparted to you by God. It depends on, do you want to take that gift back into the hands of God? or you want to take it into your hands. Somebody that took his into his own hands plays in the secular world, right?
Yes.
He sings out there. Everything he does there is in the physical, material world, and full stop. That's it. But when you take your gift and put it back into the hand of God, now you're saying, as I recognize you as the giver of this gift. And therefore, that being said, gospel musicians are ministers. They are not entertainers. You are a minister, you are not an entertainer. This is the difference between us and the secular artists.
What indicates someone will tell you that a man's gift maketh room for him?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A man's gift maketh room for him. Right? But the character of a man will close the door to that room. If I may add.
Okay.
The character.
In which sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The gift that God has given you. He hasn't. Nobody gives gift without an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
If I give you gift, it may be either on your birthday. So the motive for me giving you that gift is for your birthday.
Yeah.
Are you understanding me?
Understand.
Right?
Yeah.
So if God gives gifts, God has an intention why that gift is given.
Yeah.
So if that gift is given to minister unto God, let's look at David. David had that gift, and David developed that gifting. Yeah. This is the David that plays on the harp, and the evil spirit will depart. It will depart. Because the gift of David, the ministry of David, that gift is now a ministry that brings down the glory of God.
Okay.
Like somebody says, when the praises go up, his glory comes down.
Yeah.
So when the gift goes back into the hands of God, in praise, in adoration, in worship, the glory of God descends. Are we understanding it?
Yeah,
So gospel musicians, gospel artists should be able to understand themselves that they are not entertainers, they are ministers.
Okay.
When once you understand it from that point of view, then you realize that in the church you are complementing the pastor. You are complementing the pulpit.
So what indicates that some pastors don't encourage a musician or an artist in a church? Some artist will tell you that I'm not like that church today because the pastor they kill me talent, they kill me gift. Even if I want to surrender myself to the subjection of God, but the pastor they encourage me.
Okay, let's give and take and say plus or minus what this artist has said is really what it is, right? Given that he is submissive, given that he is willing to be corrected, given that he's willing to serve, given that there's no pride issue in context here, given that what he has said is it, and so we say the resentment, the limitations is really coming from the pastor, which is very true. Some pastors, not all pastors, you know, some pastors will see they're very covetous of the pulpit, which is not a bad thing, because you have to protect your pulpit. Anybody standing on that podium is also representing your image, pastor. Yeah, and so I realized, let me give you my own example. When I started Friday Gospel, I was not saved. Does it shock you?
No.
Yes. When I started Friday Gospel band, I was not saved. I wasn't a born again Christian. I only had the talent. I only had the knack for the singing. I only loved it. True. I was still high on marijuana. In fact, I want to smoke before I go to the stage. You know, I could go take 1, 2, 3 bottles of beer. Are you getting me?
I'm getting you.
That frenzy makes me, oh, I'm high. You know, that's the kind of thing. So if the pastor picks me up, and which was very good, my pastor picked me up.
Did you see why I answered no?
Let me just settle this.
Okay.
My pastor picked me up. the late Reverend Richard Cole.
Okay.
Right. He went to Jesus ministry. He was my pastor's pastor. He was the father of mine.
Okay.
My own
Wow.
pastor.
Okay,
My
pastor.
pastor.
Okay.
So, my pastor in the church had never known that I was still in this trickling of marijuana. But this man of God came, I have ministered, I sang, but he heard me sing, and he was there. Just by the time I have finished the ministration, guess what we usually do? We walk out of the church. We have done with praise and worship. We are there in our own world. The preaching is going on. We are not connected.
Okay.
Are you understanding now? So when he picked this thing and he said, listen to me, we have to talk. This is not an entertainment center. I could play in the church on Sunday. Wednesday I was up Cape Sarah. Thursday we were in Bintumani. Friday, Saturday, Touquet. Sunday evening, Touquet. I was still in the secular band as lead vocalist. But I had a friend. You understand what I am saying? But everybody that saw me out on that stage was like, wow, this guy can do it. What you're really seeing is the talent that been developed. But the spirit man is still down there.
Okay.
So most times the conflict pastors have with the artist, I can understand from the dimension that the pastors that have insight, a pastor that is spiritually alert, he can see you beyond the physical and will demand that until there is a reformation in your life, your talent does not mean anything to me.
Yeah.
So if somebody hits me like that, it takes humility. The day Reverend Richard Cole of blessed memory, Apostle Richard Cole of blessed memory said to me, listen to me, I know you sing well, you play very well on the instrument, son, but listen to me, your life is sick. It stinks. Those were his exact words in my face. You know, I would have just been full of my pride to say, what are you saying to me?
Okay.
Everybody knows me in this country as George Buannie. Are you getting the picture now?
I'm getting the picture.
Are you coming to? No. Then besides St. John,
there are many.
there are many. That's the attitude many musicians or gospel movement. You know, your spiritual leader is your spiritual leader. He has an insight you don't see. And I tell you what, that was the turning point in my life. This was even before we released the Usa Igude album. That was a turning point in my life. The change. And I began to realize that, wow, this man is from Liberia. He had just come on a visit for a revival in the church. 1991-92. And he picks me up. And so I begin to realize that my gift will all be there. Do you know how many gifted gospel musicians are in hell? Oh yes. And so I begin to realize that I need to take that path. And God being my helper, the transformation started right there.
In case you are just watching, this is Star Television and Channel 21, and this is Go Gospel with me, Ezekiel Kagbo. We are here with one of our, I can say, a mentor and also a legend in gospel music. He's called Pastor George Buannie. Experiencing some lovely time with him. I can say to most of you musicians and gospel artists out there, it's about God, the calling of God, and not about you. The thing you have to do is be patient, be humble, and see how God can do His marvelous work in your life.
Absolutely.
Let's take a break and we'll come back.
Someone's knocking at the door. Someone's knocking at the door. Can you hear him knocking? Can you hear him knocking? He's been knocking very long. calling for so long. Can you hear him knocking? Can you hear him knocking? Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is at the door. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus is at the door. Someone's calling out your name, calling time and time again. Can you hear him calling? Can you hear him calling? He's been calling very long. He's been calling for so long. Can you hear him calling? He's been calling you. It's Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. He's at the door. He's at the door. Don't let him walk away. Don't let him walk away. He's so patient, but don't take a chance. All you need to do is open the door. Let him take his rightful place, so he can change your world. Open up the door. 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 Open up the door now. Jesus Christ is waiting. The Lamb of God is calling you. The Lamb of God is knocking. You are keeping him waiting. He just wants to love you. He just wants to bless you. Why don't you open up the door now? Open up the door. Open up the door now. Open up the door now. Open up the door. Open up the door. Open up
Welcome back to Go Gospel on Star TV Channel 21, and I am with Pastor Buannie, a gospel legend and a gospel hero. Finally, Pastor, before you leave, what would be your advice to gospel musicians and gospel artists out there, and also the pastor in the church? What would be your advice? How we should operate, how they should operate in their ministry?
Well, the gospel musician, you, a praise and worship leader in the church, you must realize that that gift that you have is from God, and God has an expectation of that gift that you have. Primary one. Number two, realize that your gift should complement your pastor for the edification of the body. Your gift should complement your pastor for the complement. It should not be in contention with your pastor. It must complement your pastor in edifying the body of Christ. Thirdly, that gift that you have, every man is a product of another man. You want, as a pastor, me wanting to grow, I submit myself to other pastors that I know that have the grace of God, the hand of God upon them, that I admire, they have something in them in the realm or in the realm of the spirit that I need. I submit myself to them. I learn from them. I learn from them. So every man is a product of another man. If you want your musical talent, your songwriting to scale up to another level, you have to find a mentor. Somebody who has made a footprint in the sand of time within that area, and ask him questions. He can pass on a lot of novelties to you that you don't need to labor on anymore. You can just utilize them, adapt them, and before you think of it, you may be even at a higher level than your mentor. At least that is the aspiration of everyone who mentors, that your mentoree grows beyond your level. So, fourthly, every gospel artist must see himself as a minister of the gospel and not as an entertainer.
Okay.
You know, when we started off around the gospel, we could go to the highways and the byways. We could be at Campbell Street Junction, PWD there. We could be at Stadium Car Park, YWCA. We can go to Blackwell Road Junction, and we just minister. People come around 2-3 days. People come around, and they are blessed with release. But today is, we go to studio, we want to launch, do it the same way secular artists do it. Go, and when you do your launching, one of the things that is so bizarre for me is an artist coming, I'm going to launch my album, this is my album. He goes back to trade his own cassettes. Are you a merchandise, or are you a minister of the gospel? Are you trusting God that this gift that he has given to you, he will make a way for you? I'll be very honest with you. Those who know me know me. I've never launched any of mine. No. With the exception of the election album that was at the neck level. They wanted to have a vetting committee on that. But I have never gone into that because it's a distraction. If I spend that much in the studio and I go to launch and I don't get, I'm expecting a certain number of people to come in. And when once as an artist you go up that stage, you look up. The hall is empty. You look up. You don't get what you're getting. Your spirit man. You're not focusing on God. You're not getting anything commune on the Holy Spirit. There are people that the Spirit of God wants to minister to. So I think that dimension really has to be changed. It has to be changed. You know, it has to be changed. Young gospel artists coming up must learn that this is from God. Freely you give, freely you receive. Me, the pastor, I want to be a blessing to the church, sir. No ticket. We just want to come and minister. Yeah. So, yeah, offering will be raised because we need to cover transport to the other church. You know, and yeah, you can't just believe there might be somebody in that congregation that God is going to touch, that is going to give you much more than you have ever imagined. That has happened several times in my own life, Brother Ezekiel. Several times in my own life. Yes. So let us look at our gift as a ministry, other than as a bargaining chip of what we get. I will tell you the gospel, I will preach the gospel to you, but bye.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And
thank you, sir.
I hope we will have you in subsequent editions so that you can inspire us and tell us more about gospel music. There is more to learn. I can see you need to open a school for gospel musicians and gospel artists so that they can know, they can pick an experience or an idea from you, so that tomorrow when someone stands there, it will be like, boom. Thank you very much for having you. It's been Go Gospel on Star TV Channel 21 with me, Ezekiel Kagbo. Tune again next Sunday 9 to 10 for another edition of Go Gospel, so that you can learn a lot as a gospel musician or a gospel artist and get an experience of how you should operate in your ministry. You should know that this ministry is not called by man, it's called by God. So you should know that you are a minister and not an entertainer. Tune next week again for another edition of Go Gospel. with me, Ezekiel Kagbo. Thank you very much for watching.
I ain't coming down for no reason. I'll be reading my word.
Hello, I'm Ezekiel Kagbo. I'm a born-again Christian. Join me every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Go Gospel. Go Gospel is a program that brings to you gospel artists to showcase the music and bless you with ministration. As we spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, make it a date with me, Ezekiel Kagbo, on Go Gospel every Sunday 9 to 10 p.m. on Star Television, Channel 21.
So watch me fly, fly. I'm like clouds.